Hey, what's going on, guys? Optimus Tom here once again on a Wednesday evening, afternoon-ish kind of thing. I don't know, it's playing tricks on me because now it's light outside at 7 p.m. But once again, here for another episode of In the Zone, my little Learn the League of Legends show for summoners of any level, any ELO, where we make you guys a better summoner to go out there and play on the fields of justice. So, I've actually been a little excited about this episode since probably late Sunday night after the LeagueCraft GG Classic wrapped up. It was an amazing series of games, guys. Of course, you can check all those out on our ggChronicle YouTube channel over at youtube.com/ggChronicle. We have full VODs up from the entire tournament, which of course you guys stayed up and watched no matter where you were living anyway. So you just want to watch the VODs to relive all the great moments you already experienced. Isn't that right, guys? Isn't that right? But anyway, get back to the topic on hand we're going to be discussing today. I've been a little excited about this since probably a little bit before that anyway, actually. Back around the time of the beginning of the GG Classic, I believe it was the round of 32, where one of the tournaments we were competing with for viewership was actually the Red Bull LAN, hosted at Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida, and it was a StarCraft 2, Halo, and basically a prelude to MLG kind of tournament. And it was a lot of really fun to watch, especially the StarCraft 2 matches. They had them do tutorial challenges, and then they had like a whole tournament. You know, the Halo guys had to do the same kind of thing. It was a lot of community interaction. So it was a really, really cool thing to watch, especially if you guys are fans of obviously Halo or StarCraft 2. But what does it have to do with League of Legends? Well, it has to tie in with, well, first off, it was going on during the GG Classic, and a point later in the show that I'm going to bring up, but I really don't want to spoil yet, so I'm going to wait on that one. But anyway, this kind of came about around the time where TSM was scrimming against CLGEU a whole lot. They did it for like an entire day at one point. Plus, we had Dyrus and Dan Din come on, formerly of Epic Gamer, from the during the GG Classic towards the end for an interview. I won't say why, because just in case you guys haven't caught the matches, don't want to give out any spoilers. But it was really cool to see Dan Din and Dyrus, formerly of Epic Gamer, in the same call. You know, just kind of interacting like they were old teammates. It was a lot of fun. They kind of we did an interview for the T-Force podcast. You guys can probably find that on their ggChronicle YouTube channel as well. But it was just really, really cool. And just they kind of stole the entire podcast and did everything themselves, basically. But yeah, other than that, it really just kind of brought up this whole idea, like all these things kind of culminating together after watching the GG Classic and starting to really grind in solo queue and ranked 5s, which I've been playing a lot, by the way, with a bunch of my friends. Totally awesome. This environment is completely different than solo queue, and it really puts your test to skill as a whole team and really gets you thinking about one thing, which is super key in all these, and that is communication. Communication makes or breaks games almost as much, if not more, than the personal skill of every single one of your players that are going to be involved in that game. You know, it's a lot harder to do in solo queue because obviously you or maybe just one of your other buddies are the only two that are working together with real teamwork over Skype or something like that, whereas the rest of the people on the team are just completely random people you probably never played with before. So of course it gets a little bit easier as you get up to the higher ELOs and there's lesser people to play with, and you start playing with people a little bit more and you just kind of make friends from grinding ELO together. Just sort of happens that way when you start winning games together with people. But other than things like that, you know, there's a lot of communication going on in ranked 5s, especially if you play 5s normals with your friends or with people that, you know, you're kind of forming a team with. Riot implemented that ranked team feature for 5v5s, and it's a lot of fun. It's really awesome, and you'd utilize it a lot because you could really track your entire growth. There's a whole match history thing where you could go down for the past, I don't even know how many matches. You could just go down and look at like all the matches. You could click on it and you see whose champions were what the score was, all this awesome stuff, and you get to see, you know, like if you won, if you lost, like how far they were ahead in kills and what champions there were and who was in what matchup. It's a really cool tool to utilize if you guys are going to be playing ranked 5s, especially if you obviously have a group of people to play with. So it's a really cool implementation by Riot, and my friends and I have been abusing the heck out of it, and it's a lot of fun. But it also really prompted me to think that communication is so big in these tournaments that when you get into that team of ranked 5, it's really important that not only do you guys know how to play your roles and know, obviously, if you're good at those roles or if you're good at the game, but you need to know what your allies are doing, when they are doing it, why they would do it, and you have to not only know your role, but their play style in the role they are going to be playing. Whether you know it's going to be like, oh, does Kaox know what Reginald's going to be doing in the middle lane? You know, does Wicked know to come to the top to help out Froggen? You know, things like that. You just need to know these little, like, ins and outs of how your team works, and then you're going to wind up having a huge, better dynamic with this. This is really, really cool because Ponophobia, my partner in the casting kill lane, where's that picture? Awesome MS Paint skills. Da, 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 da. But he brought up a point of an article that I don't know if he wrote it or Ranhert wrote it. It says Ranhert wrote it, although he said this is my article. So I'm just going to say the entire Trinity Force podcast has something to do with this article. But it was posted on our ggChronicle website, and of course I provided a very excellent link for you guys to check out, just in case you wanted to find that and read it along with me or something like that. But you definitely find it on that tiny URL link above, and it's really, really cool because it takes an in-depth look at competitive League of Legends and really talks about communication and how it can be applied, but it uses a really cool actual sports metaphor. It's a little bit of an article discussing about football, competitive League of Legends and NFL football. I'm using with Ranhert, which is why I'm confused. You know, is it a Ranhert article? Is it a Ponophobia article? Okay, that's the URL for it if you guys want to check it out. It's really cool. Really good read. Well, I'm basically just going to summarize a couple of the points very quickly. Just so you guys can know the gist of everything. Basically, he's driving home from work one day, listening to ESPN, and thinking about how organized these football teams are. 11 players on offense, 11 players on defense, and of course the best thing is there's a picture of Tony Romo right here, because the Dallas Cowboys are the best team in the entire NFL. If you guys don't know what the NFL is, and you just want to start watching football randomly, just say you're a Cowboys fan because they're the best team in the entire freaking world, and it really doesn't matter. If anyone tells you anything different, Cowboys are the best. Don't listen to anybody else. That's all I have to say. The best. But anyway, basically he starts talking about how there's 11 people on offense, 11 people on defense. They have to get the entire team organized and know each person has to know their own role, whether you're a linebacker, whether you're a cornerback, whether you're a quarterback, a running back, an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, a wide receiver, or a safety. You don't really need to know how to play those other positions. You need to know what you're doing, but it is very important to figure out what your teammates are going to be doing in certain situations. That's why they have this thing called a playbook. That's right. Not these X's and O's and everything. These aren't just what John Madden draws on your screen while you're trying to watch the game, or used to draw on the screen while you're trying to watch the game. And it's not just, you know, a cool little metaphor for a Doritos commercial or anything like that, like some of us in the community may think. But it's actually just strategic writings out of what things are going to happen. See, even the picture says, little tooltip right there, football play. See, it's a play, guys. This is what's happening. These circles are your offense, and these X's are your defense, and this is what your offense and your defense are going to want to do. Your running back has two options. Your running back has one option to run straight up the middle. Your quarterback is obviously going to duck off to the side and roll out. Your fullback is going to wind up doing the same thing. This is either a running play or a passing play. Most likely going to be a running play because you have these lines right here, which means that these people are going to be blocking. So this way, these two go after the lineman over here. You're obviously going to have a quarterback coming over here with fullback support, just in order to come out and block anybody coming off from this side. Each lineman is going to go after his own assigned duty, and then you have the right wide receivers coming up and blocking the defensive lineman. That's just a basic play from a playbook, and everybody knows this. This is basically just an I formation play. And, you know, they're just going to be like, okay, well, we're going to do I whatever, you know, I quarterback, I halfback dive or something like that. I don't know. If you guys have played a lot of John Madden NFL football, you'll know these plays pretty much by heart. I don't. I haven't played Madden since 2005. I play League of Legends. Sorry, guys. What do you want from me? But what Ranhert goes on to say is there's a playbook in here that everybody knows what the plays are in the book, and all they have to do is call out the name of a play, and everyone reacts to it. There's no equivalent to a playbook in League of Legends right now. There just isn't. It's not there. You don't see that Reginald and Chaox and Dyrus and everybody are just like, all right, guys, this game we're going to execute team comp, boom boom or boom bust or whatever, and it's like a comp of all like bursty champions, and then like they know that in this playbook that Reginald's going to play aggressive in the middle lane, and he's going to require ganks from Odd One's jungle, and Dyrus can gun down from top, and they're not going to be too worried about farm. It's like an early kill kind of strategy. They don't really have things like that right now. What they do have, though, is something similar to a quarterback, which is going to be your team's leader or your team captain on defense. Each side of the field has an assigned captain. Like 9 times out of 10 on the offense, it's going to be your quarterback because he's calling the plays from the playbook and he's in control of the ball from the get-go. This is going to be, you know, like you would see on Team Solo Middle, such as Reginald. He's in the middle. He has control of the most part of the map, so he's going to be the one that's trying to call plays or trying trying to be the one who's going to be talking the most and trying to guide his team. We saw this on Fortnite and Epic Gamer when Dan Din was playing in the jungle. Since he literally has the most map presence on the map, he's going to be the one trying to call the plays from the playbook for Epic Gamer or from now his new team Fortnite, and he's going to be trying to just go around and call the shots for his team. But you really can't compare it straight up to this kind of quarterback role, because League of Legends has a dynamic thing of there are 3 separate lanes going on, and each lane has its own dynamic with people coming in and coming out. Obviously, you can compare this to football to an extent, but it is a little bit of a different dynamic. But the thing is, when you're taking a quick look at the article again, on the URL, if you guys want to follow along with me, you guys want to check it out later, because it's a really, really good read. But if you guys are, reading down the article, Ranhert goes to state that there are only 5 people on a League of Legends team as opposed to 22 in total on offense and defense for a football team. So if there's less than half the players, shouldn't there be more coordination between these two teams, between all these League of Legends teams, when it seems like there's going to be less? And then there's a point right above here, right above the John Madden playbook thing, is a good example of team communication in League of Legends, and this is when your top lane takes the teleport summoner spell. I'm going to quote directly from this right here, just because it's right in front of my face. In many cases, the team is going to rely on the top lane to determine the appropriate time to use teleport. This is a pretty obvious decision when your team attempts to take an objective like Dragon. However, if attempting 3 or 4 man gank bottom lane to the AD carry and support in your standard meta composition, you need to know that the top is committed to a teleport and they shouldn't peel off the attack. This can really make or break a game, as top has now allowed his opponent to free farm in order to secure a kill, or Dragon, offering up a large cooldown to a summoner skill as collateral. Coming up empty is not an option in these situations. So the top lane is put in charge of basically making the call of when teleport is going to be used, or the bottom lane or team captain like your quarterback is going to be in charge of knowing when that summoner spell is up, when that summoner spell is down, and when to properly use it in order to make or break a good compromise between the top lane farm. And in many situations when a top lane teleports down to Dragon, you'll see that the enemy top lane takes the tower in response, or goes to push towards that tower to respond to taking a Dragon. If you bring a top lane back to base on a recall and have them go straight to Dragon and pressure from there, their teleport could still be up to counter pressure the top lane who is trying to counter your Dragon by pushing in on your top tower, and this could create a whole entire new dynamic in the gameplay. But for most parts, what this article is saying is the most basic example of team communication between not my dog and the rest of me, because I'm going to strangle my dog if he keeps going crazy like this. He's really not making this easy for me. But anyway, I'm just going to continue through my dog because he's obviously just really excited to be talking about football and League of Legends in the same kind of cast. But I completely lost my train of thought now. But the most basic example is going to be when you're in a top lane, you're running teleport most of the time in like solo queue and even in early ranked 5 matches between you and a teammate. It's up to you to decide when you are going to use your teleport and when you are not going to use your teleport and offer, stay in the lane and farm, or offer the chance for that top lane to gain an advantage over you by pushing out or by taking your tower in response to doing something on the map. It even says in the article that coming up empty is not an option, because if you burn a teleport spell and don't capitalize on it, it has one of the longest cooldowns of any summoner spell in the game. On top of that, your top lane opponent is going to get some sort of advantage over you because you came up empty-handed on the teleport. This is very important to be placing wards down at Dragon, and wards from the support or another character with a Wriggles Lantern or anything in the middle of a fight, so your top lane can teleport to them if need be. This is why you see so many casters looking around being like, oh, was there a bunch of random wards on the map? I don't know what was going on. There's a fight and there's random wards. Because your top lane is going to want to teleport to them. It's just a known fact. Like, oh, okay, well, the support dropped a ward in the middle of the river between middle lane and Dragon while they're in an engagement, and I don't know what's going on, but all of a sudden top lane Gangplank's here. What's going on with that? It's because he teleported to the ward, guys. That's very important, because that's one of those make or break decisions that can suddenly turn a team fight. Not only is it going to be the whole lane dynamic up top, but you need the communication to come in at the right point in time. You're going to be able to teleport in the middle of a team fight after maybe maybe, you know, the AD carry goes, guys, they're focusing on me, they're diving through, or they could see that they're rushing past them, going to focus down the AD carry. All of a sudden, top lane comes out of nowhere, and if you have a stun, if you have a slow, if you have an AoE, if you have anything, all of a sudden it's boom, flips the entire strategy from your opponent's team on its head, and you capitalize on it. That's the kind of plays that you need to make in League of Legends. You know, they're not X's and O's and John Madden kind of thingies, but they are making plays and they're making things happen, you know, to quote Rain Man and TSM and their entire philosophy on this thing. So very, very cool thing that you got to keep in mind is, you know, this is just the most basic example of it too. This is only the teleport spell. That's not counting, you know, timers and positioning and calling from middle and calling from jungle and everything like that. We'll get into that when we talk about a little bit other segment, but the article continues to go on saying, can there be this kind of organization in a game like League of Legends? You know, can these teams get so organized that they work like a professional football team or a hockey team or a baseball team with plays and playbooks and people know what's going on? He even goes to say, you know, let's put it in like a Pop Warner, which is like little kids football kind of playbook style. If you assign a number to each position, say 1 is mid, 2 is top, 3 is jungle, 4 is the carry, and 5 is the support, 345 dragon means that the jungle, carry, and support are going to go take dragon with no need from the top or middle lane. Simply calling a number in a team fight can mean that you're focusing down on that champion. If you all of a sudden say 1-1-1-1-1, that means everybody's going to turn and focus on the top lane champion. This will cut off, you know, unnecessary syllables for saying Renekton or, you know, saying Oriana and all these like quad syllable League of Legends ridiculous names that you'll have in the top lane. So Ranhert even goes on to say, can we get this kind of organization out of an esport, let alone League of Legends in general? Well, after watching the Red Bull LAN and going to these MLGs and everything and playing the game for a little while with a couple of my friends, Ranhert, there is an answer to can this be done in an esport, and I'm about to give it to you guys. This is footage from the VOD of the Red Bull LAN in Orlando in 2012, the one that went on during, I believe it was a round of 32 for the GG Classic, so about a month ago, maybe a little less, and it's from Halo. So guys, I'm just going to let you listen to this because the coordination and communication between these teams in this capture the flag fight is ridiculous. It's between Dynasty and Instinct, two of the top teams in North America. So you guys are going to get a lot of info. I'm going to play like a couple seconds of the clip, so don't get tuned out to it. You're going to get engrossed into it, guys. You just have to let the 360 kind of flow through you for a moment, and then you'll realize that, hey, this is pretty cool. So I'm going to show you, like a minute segment. It's going to switch between two sides of the team, too, and then I'm going to recap basically what we saw. So, guys, tune in this because it's freaking sweet.
Catwalk, come on, Zach. In our street, they're all top. I'm looking at big. Our big door or something, I'm one shot.
Legs.
Our window, one shot, lunch. Our window, one shot, lunch.
Up there. Reset.
Yeah, our window still.
They're on the flag again. They're dead. They're
Going
back stairs.
5 guys weak, Roy. 2 seconds. Roy's weak on 5 guys. He's on 5. In our jet, guys.
One shot, let's see one.
Roy's weak on 3 still. Let's see one shot. Dead. I'm going. Last guy. Keep running. I'm watching our training.
Flag.
That's it. On rockets. They have rockets are big. 2 guys are big.
Captured.
Our big are the rockets in our window.
Got big. He shot our window, Roy. One shot at flag, Roy, guys. Our window hiding, Roy. He's our window.
They're big door jail with the rockets.
Alright, there's a guy window still to your right, Sean.
Got him.
They're big door. Another one at flag, Sean. I got shots. One shot at backstage.
The street, no, big door. That's 2. Our big door is dead. It's got our street. Don't die. Street, yeah, I'm trying to stay alive. We gotta get them off. I'm losing on. Street still. I got one shot radio.
Go inside.
I'm watching who they're dropping. I got the guy radio. Let's go with our street. I got the guy behind you. Let's go. Nice. I'm not able to get that. He's on me. At the window, one shot. I died. There's a bad guy. Our back right by the flag. On the flag right now. I got it.
Wow. How about that, guys? How about that kind of organization in a League of Legends game? Will you ever be able to get that out of people like Solo Middle, who people are complaining on the forums, that you'll sit there and they'll be like, yo, bro, I totally got duped there. Oh man, bro, that was bro, Bay Life, don't worry. You don't get that kind of communication. There's so many things going on in that game. There are so many people talking. It's absolutely ridiculous. They're calling things out that each other just understand because it's so well rehearsed and they know what this is. It's like a different language. People are yelling out 5, 5. They're going on 5. 1 shot, 2 shot, 3. They're counting how many hits left on these targets that they're firing. They're calling out, Roy, 1 shot. I got 1 shot left, guys. Flag carry, flag capture, going on 5, going on floor 5, going on floor flag. Carrier's got 2 shot, carrier's got 1 shot. Carrier's down, dropping down. I got the drop down. Don't worry, carrier's dead. Next target, I'm on 2 shot, 3 shot. Boom. They're communicating to each other instantaneously everything that's going on in the game. You don't have a mini map in Halo. You don't. You don't have this thing to know where people are coming. And even if you have a radar in these games, which you don't in these MLG kind of style games, you will not be able to look at it and figure out where everybody is. You just won't be able to do it. So you have to keep this communication in your game to just realize that these people are going to these places, and you have to know the map inside out. All these maps these players have memorized. So if someone says, blue carrier going 5, people will know what section of the map 5 is. The blue carrier is obviously the person who took the flag, and that's where they're going to go to try to cut him off. I got drop down, coming from an area to cover where an escape route is going to be from a high ground to a low ground. I got run through. That means it's going to be a hallway between 2 big rooms that people know the names of. 5 and 4 could be these 2 rooms, and standing in between the pass through is going to be your coverage spot. I got 3 shot, 2 shot, 1 shot. That means how many shots I have left until I'm dead. And am I going to be able to defend this position? Am I going to be able to get aggressive? Are we strong? Are we weak? Calling out these signals, things that you have heard teams say in League of Legends. Are we strong right now? Can we push in? Is there support? Have their ultimate up? Check the sides. Do we have ultimates up? How much life do they have left? Check their mana bars, Carrier's got 2 shot. Carrier's got 1 shot. Carrier out of vision. Going to drop down. Drop down covered. Got carrier. Secured flag. Win. If we had this kind of communication in League of Legends, the teams would be absolutely unstoppable. But if you tune into a scrim from TSM or any of these top North American teams, it's dead quiet. You have music playing in the background. You have people talking about like, oh, I'm gonna take rates, and like that's it. You don't have this kind of communication. And this ties into something that we saw going on in the community just a little bit earlier in the week, or a week or 2 ago, I can't remember at this point, where Team Solomino was scrimmaging against CLG EU, I believe it was, and Dyrus and Wicked forgot to swap teams. So they decided, since it was taking forever to get into the champion select, they're just going to screw it. They're just going to play it out that way. Dyrus is going to play on CLG EU, and TSM was going to play with Wicked on TSM. So what they did was they just went through this way, and Dyrus was like, holy shit, I don't have to say anything. These guys are so coordinated. Everything. Wicked was sitting on the other side, though, and they're just like, dude. Oh, I totally could have got out there, but I didn't. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, Stupe and everybody were calling all these shots. CLGU is just like, I'm headed Wolves. Wolves taken, headed down to red buff. Dragon timer is this, and then going back to race, going to blue buff. What's dragon timer? I'm strong. I'm weak. Calling out like ganking middle, walking up towards middle clear for gank, wards available. Falling back to bot lane. Going to CS. 5 seconds left on ultimate, 100 seconds left on heal. They were calling out their summoner cooldowns to everyone else. What they weren't doing the entire time is writing these things down in chat and continuously updating themselves on this timer. You can see this in games already where people are like, TB, they're blue. OB, our blue. DRG, Dragon, BRN, Baron, things like that. But they were calling out their summoner spells, calling out their ultimates, calling out their regular spells. 2 seconds till tumble, 1 second till tumble. Tumbling, condemns up, condemn against the wall. Headbutt pulverize combo, tumble up in another 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Tumble, hit the kill. First blood, good job bottom lane. Stuff like that could be what you need to do in order to get this communication between these teams, fluid communication. Does it have to be, all the...
I got him. Nice. Return that, Tom. Return that.
I got the return.
Taken.
Capping it. I got the
Flag
cap.
Don't die, guys.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that much because unlike Halo, League of Legends has a little less action between, especially in the beginnings of the game. But unlike StarCraft 2, it has a lot more action. And unlike some of these other team-based games, there's a lot more action. If you ever try to cast a game like me, and the casters have missed a kill, or there's multiple kills going on all over the map, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's just so much action and so many points of contention on the map to try to cover at the same time. You can't even do it when you're looking at the entire map with a mini-map with sidebars telling you how high and how low champions' health bars are. It's nigh impossible to keep track of every single thing going on the map. So if you are in a player standpoint and the caster who has everything available to him, including items from both teams, CS, an entire view of the map without any fog of war, and everything just available to be basically, if you were to sit there and watch Dyrus' stream, and he was quiet, and he was playing, and he was looking at this computer, and he wasn't communicating anybody, but Dyrus could see the entire map and know exactly where every enemy was and everything, he still wouldn't be able to communicate with the rest of his team and wind up winning because of it if the other team had better communication. He has to, you know, someone in that position has to do it. If a caster can't do that and they miss kills or, you know, things happen in the game that they don't necessarily talk about, just imagine how hard it is for a player if there's no team communication going on. It's absurd. If Reginald were to say, I'm strong right now, I'm diving in, Odd One, how far away from you? And Odd One's like, I'm at Wolves, be there in, you know, remember from my other In the Zone, we were talking about the structure of the meta game, and I measured out the timers between those lanes. If Odd One goes, I'm at Wolves 15 seconds till arrival, Reginald could say, okay, cooldown up in 8 seconds. If I can do this, I know that Odd One's going to get there to the bush at 15 seconds, if not 16 seconds, so I should be able to Q twice, harass down this champion, and it should be an easy kill. If we're going to get aggressive, I can throw those Qs out. The champion in the middle is going to think I'm just playing aggressively. They're not going to know if Odd One's coming in for a gank. Odd One comes in for a gank after I throw down 2 Qs off those cooldowns and maybe a couple other spells, conserve my mana, check her health, check her mana, or, you know, assuming there's like a female champion in the middle, check their health, check their mana, check where they're at. Odd One comes in 15 seconds later, everything's off cooldown. Odd One comes in, maybe he's Maokai, twisted advances in, throw down the remaining 2 cooldowns, easy kill, pick up first blood, head back to the jungle, alert everybody what's happened. I don't care if the game announces that first blood was down. Say like middle lane down, Lux down, Morgana down, Odd One says going to Wolves or going to Wraiths, you know, something like that, or move towards Dragon, double check Dragon timer, what's going on, their buff, our buff, what's happening, bottom lane, are you strong, are you weak, Odd One continuing down from middle lane, 17 seconds till arrival, you know, 12 seconds to arrival, 5 seconds to arrival, oh, we're weak, Odd One to turret, go to small golems, going towards golems, are you strong, are you weak, double checking all these things. It would be absurd because the team would have such communication, it would literally be impossible to break what you're doing, and you would always know what everybody is doing at the exact same time. It's just stupid. And these teams, you know, people are going to be like, oh, it's really hard to keep track of all this stuff and talk while you know, are trying to play and it's a high-level competition. These people do it all the time. They stream constantly for 15,000 people. And they'll sit there and they'll be talking about, you know, what they had for lunch the past day while they're playing a game and continuously going godlike legendary streaks in solo queue. If you guys can do that in your solo queue games, you could just get a little more communication between your team in the important matches. And even if you miss 1 or 2 CS, it's not going to be the death of you because of that. If you're able to go legendary in solo queue while talking to 15,000 people about something that's not even related to the game, where you're not focusing on the game, if you're focusing on the game and know everything else about the game you need to know to make your game even better, you're not going to be penalized for missing 1 or 2 CS because you're constantly talking about what your lane is doing or what you think you need to do. You're going to be rewarded for the fact that you have complete dominance over every part of the map that you control, over every part of the game that you can influence, and over the entire game as a whole if the other team lacks as strong communication as you do. Communication is absolutely insane, and after watching this match of Halo between Instinct and Dynasty, I like kind of dawned on me, even like I was tweeting to Forecourt Jester, I was like, yo, Forecourt Jester, you know, I'm watching this Halo stuff, imagine if we had this kind of stuff in League of Legends, and Forecourt Jester is kind of like, that's not going to happen. I was just like, oh, yes, it is. I'm going to do an In the Zone on this one of these days. Ha! Joke's on you, Jester. Now who's the Jester? Optimus Tom should wear the hat. That'd be cool. I want a Jester hat. Send me a Jester hat, guys. But anyway, so we have what higher level teams can do and what ranked 5 teams can do and what they could do to improve the overall state state of League of Legends and bring it up to that play. People are always saying, like, what can we do to beat the European teams, beat Moscow 5? Look what CLGEU is doing. They're putting all, like, everything in and getting this communication down pat, and if they had players that are capable of the skill and have the information, they could take down teams like Moscow 5 easily. Do we know if Moscow 5 does that stuff too? Maybe that's why they're winning, guys. We don't know right now. So that could be the entire missing piece that these North American teams to take down the top EU teams. You know, it's not necessarily all about skill and counter picks and picking in bans and everything. That is, of course, extremely important to the game, but that doesn't make or break the game. You really need that communication. Otherwise, your teammate's going to fall apart, especially if you're trying to play from behind. Communication becomes even more key in that point, because if you miscommunicate one time and you're already behind, there's my button. It's good game as soon as, you know, you wind up giving up any more advantage than you've already given up. You're really hanging on by a thread in those points. So if your teamwork is flawless, you're going to be able to come back and really pull together. If your teamwork has cracks in it, you can still hang on and have a chance. If you give something up that your team didn't want you to give up, or you shouldn't have been where your team needed you to be, you wind up losing the game. That's it. But now people are going to be like, well, Optimus Tom, that's if you have a full ranked team and if, you know, you're at the competitive level. What if you're just grinding through solo queue? You can't make everybody listen to you, and you can't really, you know, be in charge and have this kind of team dynamic. And yes, I know you can't. It kind of sucks, but there are certain things that you can keep in mind. First off, communication is going to be key. Like I said, people will type down in chat, Baron buff at this, Baron buff at that, etc., etc. Keep track of that for your team. Go into the game assuming everybody is really, really stupid and doesn't know the timers. And then refer them to this video so they can learn the timers. I have pointed everything out for you, ladies and gentlemen. You can see right here that there is spawn times for every single creep camp, every single buff, and even the minions are down pat on the timer. So this is a very resourceful thing. Freeze frame, print picture, print screen. Yo, do whatever you have to do for the stream right now to get this picture. If you want me to, I can upload it and send it out to you guys. Just get at me on Twitter at Optimus Tom, and I'll give it to you on like an Imgur site or something, or a photo bucket, or Instagram it and make everything sepia for you. That'd be fantastic. That wouldn't hipsters. But anyway, you can see right here that has spawn times for the jungle, has spawn times for the creeps, has spawn times for all the buff holders and all the major quest objectives on the map. It even has a little note there saying that wards will last 3 minutes, so you guys could even say brush ward, tri-bush, dragon ward, their blue ward, our blue ward, baron ward, wraith ward, our wraith, their wraith, etc., etc., and put a timer down as soon as you see yourself, or as soon as you see an enemy, or you yourself puts a ward down, so people know how long you're going to have vision and how long they will have vision of the area. This is extremely useful if you pink ward an area, or not pink ward an area actually, and they put a ward down and your jungler is saying, is it warded? Yes. You can refer back to your little timer in chat and be like, come back in 1.5 minutes, go take buff, go take raids, recall, come back, gank at full health, and then you'll be able to, you know, get this really, really strong gank as opposed to a half-hearted, maybe not a kill, maybe not even a summoner spill burn kind of gank. So you can see right here, minute 40 on wolves and raids and golems. Minute 30 is when the creep starts spawning. 2:30 is the cannon minion wave. You could also figure this out by knowing that it is every 3 waves you will have a cannon minion. Big Golem and Big Lizard, 155 apiece. Dragon spawns at 2:30. Baron spawns at 15 minutes on the dot. He is never late, ladies and gentlemen. When Baron shows up at 15 minutes, he is there promptly. The time below that is going to be the respawn timers. Every 50 seconds, rates will return from their camp. If you kill them with a Maokai right away, with your little sapling kind of plantation field going down over there, harvesting all your little Pikmin guys to kill these rates, they will probably fall down at about 1:43. So then you can even put a timer on yourself and be like, 2:33 rates will be back up. Well, that's cool, because I could walk over to Golem, which spawns at 1:55, pick it up by about 2:05, 2:06 with a leash. That'll be back at about the 7-minute mark. Head over to wolves, clear the wolves, and if I do it within 20 seconds, or kill it, you know, within 20 seconds and get over the rates have respawned already, and then I'll be able to continue through my jungle pattern by picking up rates before I go to small golems, and then go to red, possibly even hit level 3, without getting the red buff, possibly hitting level 4 off of my first round trip through the jungle off red buff. Whoa, I'm already learning things to keep me ahead in the game. That is really, really cool. And then I can know that, okay, that blue buff's going to respawn at 7 minutes and 6 seconds, so I should probably be either ganking the middle lane or around the middle lane. When that 7-minute mark, maybe even the 6:45 mark hits, clear out those wolves, clear out those raids, and then donate the blue buff to my middle. I should probably know that I can maybe expect if there's a shift in the top lane around 7 minutes or a little bit before, I can expect someone to try to be countering my blue buff. This is very, very important timers, and even though it's not the clearest of communication amongst a team in a solo queue, if you guys are at least on point with your timers, you are going to be a lot better off in your solo queue match, and you could even possibly just win the game because you have more communication than the people who have never talked to each other in the world before on the other team, and they're too busy arguing about the fact that the support wanted top lane, the top lane wanted middle, the middle wanted range carry, and the range carry wanted jungler. Which we all know happens in solo queue games, guys. So, knowing that and making sure you type it in chat, that is the most important thing about solo queue, is have visual representations so people can constantly go back. People are spamming refresh the timer every minute or two. And just, people have it in their minds. People say, stop spamming the chat with timers. Be like, sorry, bro, I'm trying to help us win. Stop being a bitch. DBAB. D-bad, guys. But anyway, I mean, that's just it. Communication is going to be one of the biggest things in these matches. We talked about it on a ranked standpoint. We talked about it kind of on a solo queue kind of standpoint. Dragon timers, ward timers, making sure you call missing in action. It's very important. People will say, well, pros don't need missing actions. They have map awareness. They have wards. You're not pros. Sorry. You're not pros. Not everybody has the talent to ward the proper areas. Not everybody knows when they should be rewarding. Not everybody knows where everyone is going. Call missing. And don't just say, MIA, done. Say, MIA mid, MIA that champion. If they're not back within 20 seconds, say it again. It might sound like a broken record to your teammates, but do it, though maybe if they listen at all or see the chat is getting spammed, like, what the fuck? Oh, okay, well, someone's missing. Maybe I should play passively. Then, it's going to get a little extra thing that helps you kind of get a little bit more ahead. Wards are very important. Everybody should be buying them in a team game. Everybody should definitely be buying them in a solo queue game. Don't blame the jungler or the support for not warding your top or middle lane. Just don't. That's one of the stupidest things in the world. You can afford 75 gold, 150 gold in the middle lane to ward your bushes and make sure that your ass stays alive. That's all. That's it. So make sure you have clear teaming communication. Your team mechanics are as polished as possible. And make sure that you're a team player. If you know you're in a carry position, carry. But don't be stupid and dive in when you're 8-0, feed the enemy range carry a kill with 500 bonus gold, and suddenly realize, well, what the hell making the game turn around? I'm 8-1. I should be winning. No, you were stupid and fed the other carry gold. Make sure that you keep the team's game the highest frame of mind and the highest priority, and you guys will be A-OK, ranked, solo queue. I don't care. It's going to be good. So, guys, that is why it's very, very important to keep team communication. That's why it's very important to keep a glass of water next to you when you are trying to do a League of Legends show about communication. But communication is of utmost importance in any game, let alone League of Legends. And if the community and the pros really improve on what their game is going to be with communication, I think we could have one of the most exciting esports environments ever right now. It's also going to improve the fact that some people like listening to casters, some people don't like listening to casters. If there was some sort of way you could listen to, like with the GG Classic, where people were listening to CLG on their little sidebands or on their stream while watching our stream and going along with the commentary. If they had those calls going with the casting and you could kind of synchronize it so one was a little bit lower and one was a little bit louder, that would be like the utmost viewer experience of all time. It would be ridiculously freaking awesome. And I would envy every single one of you that got to watch that while I was doing the casting. So, ladies and gentlemen, get out there, be communicated, be clear, and don't be a troll. Just don't. Like, no one wants to go through 1,200 ELOs and be trolled upon. I'm doing it right now in my show, Optimus Tom and ELO Hell. You guys can probably catch me streaming some of that after this or a little bit later tonight. I go through solo queue ELO Hell and try to bring up my ranking to prove to you guys that I do know what I'm talking about when I do these things and when I cast. Plus, it's also really entertaining when I do get trolled. So, and you guys can see me, you'll get pissed off and a bunch of people can trolling me. So, it's pretty fun. It's a good time all over. But you guys can check that out on my YouTube channel, of course, over here at youtube.com/OptimusTomTV. Once again, this is a presentation from ggChronicle and the amazing community there. ggc.leaguecraft.com, your one-stop destination for everything you need to know about League of Legends on the internet. Follow us on the Twitters at ggChronicle. We need some casters after. We need casters. Wow. We need some followers, ladies and gentlemen. That thing's a little bit low and a little bit embarrassing, to be completely honest. So please make sure you follow us on ggChronicle at the Twitters, or me, of course, because I need more followers than bad administrator, because I'm just more awesome and I know more about the game, guys. So also follow me on Twitter at Optimus Tom. You can also find stuff from my YouTube channel on youtube.com/OptimusTomTV or the ggChronicle channel, youtube.com, but change that / to ggChronicle. Once again, guys, my name is Optimus Tom. Thank you once again for tuning in to episode 21 of In the Zone, presented by guys at ggChronicle and myself. The music you're going to be listening to is All Talk, No Action from Science. Find them on facebook.com/ScienceNJ. They're an awesome, awesome band, guys. They're going to play us out, and I'm going to start solo queue raging against newbies, guys. See you later.
No action.